I can definitely see that. Definitely see Ben teaming up with the Green Lantern Corps, or just one Green Lantern, plus taking a trip to Oa and things like that. Him, Kevin, and Gwen. I would write also the Guardians. Heard this also episode would also have Grandpa Max in it, because the all Guardians of Oa have heard of the Primers. That's most definitely. Hell, I can even see Ben teaming up with Superman. The Omnitrix, Darkseid, or somebody has heard of the Omnitrix. He wants its power. There's so many power-hungry villains that, from Superman to Green Lantern, that I can see on this show. But as for Rex, since he's not in my opinion, he's established himself. That first episode, he planted his foot in the Cartoon Network soil and said, "I'm here to stay. Watch me out. Recognize me." You know what I'm saying? But since he is a young teenage hero, not to say Ben is any older. Ben is like 1 year older than him. I could see Rex teaming up with the Titans. You know what I'm saying? Maybe there's an infestation of evils in San Francisco. Providence heads out to San Francisco. Who occupies San Francisco? The Titans. That'd be cool. I would really love to see that. Those are some people I can think of, T. And then your next question, T, is, I know you're a big Predator fan, movie-wise. But do you read the Predator books, comic books? On and off, T. On and off. You're right. I am more of a movie-wise. I'm a big Predator fan. But when there is a good writer that comes along and writes the Predator right, then yeah, I will. I'm on and off about it. But Hope, she's really big into the Predator comics. She has practically every Predator-based comic that came out, whether it's a crossover between, Batman and Superman, or just Predator himself. But don't get me wrong, I think they're great, but I don't know, maybe because I fell in love with the movie-wise better than the comics. That's just me, T. Okay? Next you have, what are your thoughts on Zack Snyder wanting to make The Dark Knight Returns into a movie? I think I think Zip he did a video on this, actually. Zip did a video on it. You know what? Look, I know I might get hated on this, but I'm not much of a huge Dark Knight Returns fan. Because you know why? Because I'm not really a big Frank Miller fan. I know I'm gonna get choked out by some Frank Miller fans, but you know why? Because in my eyes, Frank Miller seems to believe that dark always sells. You know what I'm saying? Don't get me wrong. I think he did a lot of people I know, especially around my neighborhood, jumped on Daredevil when Frank was doing Daredevil. Okay? And he thinks that, you always got to go dark in origins and everything. Look at Elektra's origin. Her origin has been really, 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 really revised, retconned, all over. And most of them start going with the concept of what Frank Miller wrote. Her memory is so traumatized because her father would abuse her, rape her. Things like, that's not my way of going. I don't go that route. You don't always have to go dark. And Frank Miller seems to always go that route. And don't get me wrong, Batman Bruce can be dark at times. But I think The Dark Knight was a great story. Don't get me wrong. Great story. But I don't think we need to see a movie based on that. A live action movie, or a feature film, animated feature film in my book. You know, because hence I don't want to see Bruce old. You know what I'm saying? I can tolerate it for a while. Hence, what I'm talking about is Batman Beyond. I can tolerate it for a while, but I want to see Bruce in his prime or whatever. You know, not old and big and bulky and things like that. That's just me. Okay, that's just me. And once again, I'm probably going to get a lot of hate. A lot of people hating on me for this Q&A, but that's just how I feel, you know. Just how I feel. I'm sorry, guys. That's just how I feel. And if you don't like it, you don't got to. That's my take on it. That's my opinion, and I'm sticking to it. So what you gonna do about it? Okay, and 4. Okay, he says, who would you like to see team up with Deadpool in Deadpool team-ups? You know what, T? Once again, I don't read all Wade. There are certain comics I do read of him, and then there's certain comics I don't read. I don't really read. I do read it, but I don't keep it in my collection as a. I don't have it in my pull. Excuse me. But if I would say Domino. Has he ever teamed up with Domino in team up shit? The only book I read of Deadpool, I think, is his self-title and stuff like that. But Gabi, he showed us where he picks up his comics, and I believe it's called Arkham Comics. I think that's what it's called again. I remember watching it. That was cool. For me, the comic book store that I go to get my comic books is literally just known as Comic Book Heaven. And basically, when I'm there getting my book out of my pull box, I will pick up Deadpool and just read it right there. I don't really read Deadpool team-ups too much, because I don't read them too much, because I don't think they need to, or Marvel doesn't need to overexpose him. You know what I'm saying? He's already big already. You don't need to overexpose him. But, you know, their look is, hey, we got so many books of such and such. Let's give Deadpool. You know, he got so big after Wolverine Origin, everybody wants to know more about him. So let's do more books about it. Huh? You know. Then your last question is a good one. And I think this is going to get everybody. Peter David or Jeff Johns? Ooh. Good question, good question. You know what? They call Stan Lee the father of Marvel, basically. They call Jack Kirby the king. They call Chris Claremont Mr. X-Men. Mr. X-Men, the father of X-Men. You know what they ought to call Peter David? Mr. X Factor. Because that's exactly what this guy is. Peter David is an excellent writer. This guy kills it every freaking time on X Factor. He does such a great job as character development, whether it's just a certain amount of characters on X Factor, and he just focuses on, put the spotlight on them, like Guido and, you know, Richter and people like that. Great job. It's always a pleasure reading Peter David's work. Peter David he's also did a great job with the Hulk. If you didn't read any of Peter David's when he was writing the Hulk, go read it. Go read it. Peter David has killed it, and I'm with Hex. I'm with Gabi on this one. Keep this man on X Factor. If you ever feel, if Peter David wants to say, I'm done, retire from writing and stuff like that, or somebody gives him another offer to go to write for another character, and they feel Marvel wants to keep X Factor going but have another writer, don't do it. Do not do it, because I don't think anybody else could write. I'm with Gabi on this one. And Jeff Johns, great stuff, always. Though I have a friend that was in the military, where I used to ship his comics to him while he was in the military overseas, and I would ship him, and he came back later when he got discharged and came back and said, you know what, Chris, and we were talking one time, just recently we were talking, I was at his house with a couple of my other friends, and we were talking about Jeff Johns, and he came out and said, you know what, Jeff Johns is okay. I'm not on his bandwagon as some of the other guys people is, and he's pointing at us and stuff like, and I'm saying, whoa, now I'm not on his bandwagon. I just think he's a good writer, but my friend Garrett just feels that he's being hyped too much. He writes good, but he's not that good. There are other writers that are just as good as he, and